Hey, look, we're recording. Doing the thing. Julie. I don't know if you guys can hear the cat, but she is purring up a storm. She is just like purring up the pure storm.
Just heard her a second ago, yeah.
Yes, this time we are really recording. Also, someone at me in Firehouse telling me to post my damn VODs, because I keep forgetting. You did it the first time I asked, and it worked. And then my thing crashed, so like I lost all my progress, and I haven't tried it since. I need to do that. Anyways, in terms of my stuff, while Legacy types up their thing, still making progress on the updates for the structures and whatnot. Getting very close to finishing. This week was a little weird because I'm on my new schedule, so even though I stopped like last week, I was working Saturday was my last day for the week, but then this week I was working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I didn't really have a long break to actually do proper work. Though I was really bored at work and I was answering a lot of questions. I imagine people noticed that.
So very urgent stuff for this week, because I want to get this out as a patch note to get people aware.
Yeah.
I pinged you about this in economy. Basically I need a summary of the economic changes during the week. I'm going to post them in a patch alongside the faction feature freeze.
Yep, so the percentage values for mercantilism and shopping has been adjusted. Shopping has been adjusted to be a bit more of a easier to just quickly do the math value. So it's now in groupings of 25%, starting with 75%, 175% for untrained, going 25% down for every proficiency tier that you have achieved. So 150 at trained, 125 at expert, 100 at master. Previously, it was 180%, reducing down to, I think, 165, and eventually going down to 120%, I believe, or 115%. Pretty sure it's 120. I posted this in the World Annual Changelog, though, so that's probably more detailed than what I'm saying, because I did it at the time. The haggling, that's the word for it. The haggling rules.
Okay, do you remember which days so I can go back and cross-reference?
It should be the most recent post. Pretty sure it's the most recent post. Yeah, haggling rules has changed. The DC
August
values.
1st.
Oh, thank you. The DCs for haggling has been adjusted. They have been reduced a little bit in some regard, but then they have been an exponential increase.
I like it.
The actual values for how much you can gain for haggling is not changed. So still the maximum haggling reduction is 30%. But yeah, and that's the same for mercantilism. The haggling rules have just been copy pasted in each. For mercantilism, so selling items to the NPC market, those have been adjusted. They are now favoring a more traditional style of selling to NPC markets. And this one is the one that's probably going to be changed the first when we do get a player-based economy. Right now, since we don't really have that as a viability, I went pretty heavy-handed on these ones. So it went from 10% base to 40% base, and then increasing 10% to trained, and then 5% thereafter. While before it was 10%, then increasing by 5% each. So it was really freaking small percentages for how much you can sell stuff to the NPC market. Now it's a bit more.
So basically add an asterisk of think of this as a temporary modifier until characters scale enough to be able to self-sustain.
Yes. I would also say until we have a proper population. Which will be probably going into a bit more of the civilian stuff, because civilians being of higher level would mean that they can also help provide for the economy more. So that is something also on the docket. But I've also added some modifiers to mercantilism for what type of item you're selling. So if you're selling arms and armor, no modifier, it's normal stuff. If you're selling like magical potions, the number of days required and how much poundage you can actually sell per day is adjusted, as it's harder to find a buyer for, like a potion of dragon's breath than it would be to find a buyer for, say, a basic dagger. Because, more often than not, you're just selling to adventurers at that point. Yeah, that has for each different major type of item.
We really do have a pretty significant population TBH. It's more than they're spread out and not that much automation.
Yes, we have a decent population. I don't think we need too much more of that. I think our biggest issue right now is a lack of staff for like RP events and whatnot. Automation will certainly help us on that regard. But the main issue is they are spread out, as you're saying, but also we don't have a certain
those
number.
are ways to infuse resources into the player econ.
Yeah, like players with gold, and like players that have the particular specialties. Because there's so many different specialties right now that even with the large number of players we have, we only had 2 merchants. Now we only have 1 merchant. At least from last I noticed. Civs can do events unless you specifically say they can't. Yeah, we're definitely have to look at ways. I'll probably be adjusting some of the downtime options. Give them some options that can help benefit them a bit more. Yeah. Missions are definitely something that needs to be discussed. That's on my docket as well. Yeah, I mean that was the economy infusions was why I gave the initial stimulus package with like the wagon and the random amounts of gold and whatnot to help people get that initial load, which is also why the entrepreneurs were given the like basic raw materials so they can just craft things with like the 100 whatever pounds of iron they probably picked up. But yeah, yeah, more events would be better, but again, we need more staff for that particular regard. So yeah, I mean we're not going to be launching any until we have the staff to handle it, but or at least not any that are not already being planned. But like that is something that we do need. Our staff training for RP events specifically needs to be a focus. Preferably, we have more people signing up for staff for RP events as well, but yeah.
I'll manage that for now while Duke is handling his new job.
Mm-hmm. That's not just 2 people is pretty good for a region. It's also 2 people who are running missions there, so they're taking on multiple jobs, and it's not exactly sustainable. So we need some RP events. People who are specifically RP events. Yeah, no, having 2 people there who are just focused on that, perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anything else you were wanting to bring up for that legacy? I bring up my docket stuff.
Okay, yeah, that was for the patch notes. Let me check the agenda.
Hmm.
Luke isn't available to detail on it right now, but we might as well discuss and see any thoughts.
Yeah. I think the initial thought of not wanting people to just circumnavigate the smuggling thing, I think that right there might just be something that we just have to be like, yeah, it's fine.
That causes problems because like it becomes super easy to go on a mission somewhere, drop something off, then go back. If we don't allow that, and in universe that would be problems of this organization just allows rampant smuggling.
Hmm. The big issue, though, is that the Seekers Guild, the only actual thing that they say you can't do is directly harm the guild. That's the only actual negative. The main reason we thought of having that is because we didn't want people to, just meta shit. Um, but like the guild wouldn't give a shit if you're just going on a mission,
Well,
coming back with
While
something.
that would be a
But
pretty funny
Eldaria-
generally accepted secret where the guild just shrugs and goes, what black market?
Eldaria,
And most
Eldaria-
nations have to just shrug and go with it and try to persecute the individuals instead.
I mean, why? If there's a criminal organization, people usually just don't shrug. They tend to not want their laws to be broken.
Yeah, I mean, main organizations would do that. But the only reason we have the Seekers Guild is so players can do their missions without being like, I need to be in the region, I need to have this certain amount of time to do things, and if I don't have the downtime to travel, then I can't go on my mission. It's the only reason the guild exists.
And I would rather not people try to game that system that we have just so people can go on games.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, if people are traveling with illegal goods via the Seekers Guild, it's fine.
Yeah.
If they are doing something that's meta, like as you're saying, they are grabbing illegal goods, dropping it off in mission in the new region, and then teleporting back via the guild sigil, and then traveling there, and then picking up their shit. Just say the shit's been, taken at this point. Someone found it. Or if it's like in a monstrous location, they have to do a mission to get it back, because, hey, look, bandits filled up the cave that they cleared out.
Yeah, that's why we slept on the you get kicked out of the guild early on, because it was kind of being meta at that point.
Yeah. But, like, if they're doing meta shit, then obviously, avoid that. And if they keep doing meta shit, warn them or give them, actual repercussions for doing meta shit. But if they're just like, oh, I found loot in mission. It happens to be illegal. I'm keeping it. I'm wanting to teleport back at the end of my mission. I want to keep my loot. Yeah, they can keep their fucking loot.
Yeah, that would be a lot more fun. It's just situations of
I just
dead
put the
drops.
summarized thoughts together there. How does that look?
There's still going to be the later artificer level too, where they get the ability to just basically store shit in the astral plane and just retrieve it as well. So they'll basically be able to take things and like store it and then back, and that won't have anything to do with like the Adventurers Guild for like that sort of thing.
Yeah, at that point they can smuggle freely. Pretty much.
That's class ability type of thing, I think, more than
Yeah.
So
Overall thoughts, yeah, I think that covers it. And I wouldn't say the guild doesn't care. It's just that they're not asking, and they don't want you to tell.
If you have the drugs in you, don't say anything. There you go.
Yeah.
It's called a no fault clause. It's both.
Yeah. I mean, initially, yeah, it's fine, but if we had the rule of people are moving in, grabbing their like illegal goods, and you know, returning with or trying to return with their illegal goods via the mission sigil, not like medding and like leaving it so they can go pick them up later, but like just wanting to get their illegal goods. If we have evil missions and we had that rule in place, those missions couldn't work because most stuff that they're going to be trading with is probably be illegal. They're probably going to be going into, like a drug missus and collecting a bunch of agony or something like that. So if we have any rules where illegal goods just don't get transported via the sigil, that right there just instantly penalizes any evil game.
This originally came up with Kismet asking about something Duke could potentially do where he was in Eldaria, go to Brugia on a mission, drop off a skull with a demon in it in Brugia, go back to Eldaria, then travel from Eldaria to Brugia and pick up the skull.
Yeah. So anything that is like that, until we have a system in place, so like if you want to work on something for that pie, just assume that the item has been lost through whatever means, whether the skull was found and picked up by someone else. In this case, maybe someone happened upon it and picked it up and was like, "Yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna keep this myself." Or any other number of reasons that could be the cause for why the item's not kept at that point. They left it. Takes time to travel to the new region. Someone would have picked it up by then. Especially if it's in the middle of the wilds, which case they would have to travel to the wilds where that was, which is even further of a travel. Yeah. Speaking of civs, I definitely think with the low number of staff population that we have, we need to lower the cap. Previously, the cap was double the player cap, so like 150. I guess it's 160 now. I think we bring it down to the same as adventurers.
Yeah, I think we should count it.
Cap it at 70.
Write down notes of new civilians until we get new staff, because honestly, I've spent more time doing stuff for civilians than I've done stuff for adventurers.
Yeah. So we just cap it.
They take up a lot more of our resources outside of playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Like downtime day, RP,
Yes,
they
and
take up a lot.
staffing is basically equivalent to GMing in terms of work. Currently, we probably should put them about 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.6. 1.5.
I think 1.1 for now. 1-to-1 for now would be a good.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Just have them at 70. Though I know our player cap is actually right now 80. But have them at the original player cap of 70.
How many do we have exactly?
I think our current
50
civ
civs.
population is 50 something. I'd have to bring up the things for that.
Yeah. So they're not all active, etc., but
Okay, we cap it equal now, but we don't remove anyone over.
I don't think we're currently over the cap, but close.
Sub.
Is
We're not over the cap right now, no. We're getting close, though.
I couldn't imagine like 200 active civs with our current staff. Right, so yeah, for this topic, I just saw a harvesting downtime day that was saying I'll spend 10 influence to gain access to a mine. Kind of made me pause and think because I've been allowing people to just mine without access to a mine. I don't know if we have rules about access to actual, like, the part where you dig.
Currently the rules are for getting access to like a mine or a forge or whatnot. They just spend the I think it's 100th of the build cost or buy cost for the structure, and they just get access to it, essentially renting it from the individual.
Right, so we should be charging for a mine.
They should be charging gold,
Okay.
and it's like 5 gold or 6 gold, I believe, per downtime day that they're renting it, and that's already in the rules. That's already listed on World Anvil. It's been
Okay.
listed there for like a couple months now.
It just wasn't on the harvest for mining, so a lot of times when I was just doing the mining, I was not requiring them to pay.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that'll be something we need to add to the patch notes, is that access to mines now costs gold per downtime day.
Yeah, just so it's clear.
What about harvesting?
I mean, they don't need a mine to harvest. It just makes it easier to harvest.
Yeah, that's what
I assumed it was from the wild.
Harvesting.
Harvesting is generally just going out into the wild and just doing the harvest.
Okay, so if someone's doing a harvesting downtime day of just say I want to go mine or iron ore, they don't have to pay.
They don't need a mine, no. The mine is
Okay.
the spending the money is just so they have access to the structure, which gives them benefits.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
think we're a little bit confused on what
Yeah.
we were actually saying.
yeah, no. They only need the
Okay.
money if they're getting. They specifically want access to the structure because they're renting out the structure.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can just go and do the thing. There's no
Yeah.
need for money. So you've been doing it proper, unless they've been like, hey, I want to, a structure. Which case they probably are taking off themselves anyways because they know the price.
No, I think the only person that's done that was Bazzino, but then he canceled his harvesting before I got to it.
Yeah. For hyperlink system, it wouldn't be too difficult. There is an option to add links. In World Anvil, it's gonna be a bit. I've been slowly adding tags to every page I've been going through, so it's easy to use the search system. But yeah, no, it's feasible. They do allow for hyperlinks. The editing system for World Anvil is kind of shit, especially on certain pages where it just the coding, the formatting for how things function just breaks. So like the downtime activities page, the formatting on that was broken. I have to go into the what's the word for it? I'm just gonna edit the article real quick so I can see the name for it. I have to go into view source to edit the document, otherwise it will give me issues. So I'm basically editing it via the coding languages of the document using BB code and whatnot. With like the full, like everything has the bracket, li bracket, closing bracket, / li end bracket, for, you know, just listing something that's in a bullet point. And I have to do that per thing. And it's kind of a pain. Like other pages that are like brand new, I don't have to do that. I can do it normally and it'll work just fine. But they're coding when it gets a little too hefty. Like the downtime activities page breaks, and it's a painful experience, but it's fine.
So yeah, for this next topic, I think we came up when the stream game started RPing, and just some Verum PSD from Stream Player, the name.
Oh yes,
talks
speaking
about-
of that, we talked briefly about that in the progression meeting. Vara's working on the downtime submission sheet. Don't add more columns or something. You might need to ask him about that.
Yeah, hi, hello. I put it in tech team and economy team, but basically the downtime form as it is now, the form itself will add columns. If you add stuff to the form, that's fine. It's counted for. But
Mhm.
please don't add form or the columns manually to the sheet at this point, if it can be avoided. If you
Okay.
need to, yeah, please let me know.
I believe the only one that we've added thus far, which was early on, was the initial GM response column on the left-hand
Event
side.
handler, yeah.
Yeah.
I've added a second one just to let me track which columns have actually been handled by the bot, because there is no unique identifier between all of these. Sure, the timestamp could be, but the timestamp unfortunately is using seconds as the minimum. So if somebody was to do it the same second, then I'd have a problem.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think, as you're saying, just blanket rule. Don't add any new columns unless it's
If
via
you
the
need to
form.
add anything, just go ahead and do it in the processing thing once I've got it set up, because that one's fine to just do whatever you want to.
Mhm.
That's the point of it.
Going over what you just posted there for topic 5, though, of company statics and stream player roles. We currently do not have rules for establishing free companies yet. There's not, like, players can literally just be like, hey, do you want to go on missions together? Yeah, okay, cool. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, it came up probably because we were discussing Stream Player tag,
Mhm.
and just some of us have PTSD from Stream Players.
Yes.
Verum.
It's totally fair.
So part of the solution might be them, along with statics, getting a rule that kind of puts them kind of on the same level playing
Mhm.
field, I guess, and also just be convenient for DMs and players to be able to have a rule to ping the static, especially in RP if the whole static is being talked to.
Yeah. The big issue there with the statics is that we have a limited number of role slots, which is why I know recently someone was asking for me to add faction tags for like Skysworn and whatnot. That's already a thing that's being added. We're just, the faction hasn't really been unlocked fully yet, so I haven't made the tag for Skysworn. If they have a faction, like a full faction, 100% they get a tag. That costs prestige to make, so it's.
Oh wait, are you suggest static per GM? I thought you meant static as a general tag for labeling.
As for labeling somewhat, but also if it was individualized, it could help with RP stuff. But yeah, we do have a limited number of rules.
Yeah, especially with how many roles that we've added recently that, frankly, should be cleared up at this point. There are certain roles that just don't need to exist.
When we were talking about it earlier, we had around 100 roles empty that we can use.
And if we allow that, that sets precedents going forward.
I'll clean it up in a bit, but we still have 100 or so we're fine.
We're fine right now, but progressing forward, if every single group of 5 players or something like that, for example, like 5 players plus
Yeah.
2 civilians gets this, we're looking at a decent number of those tags being taken up. And as we expand, that number
We're
will
gonna need-
drastically dwindle,
Well,
and
for that,
then
I'm
we will be
against
at cap.
that.
Yeah,
I just
for
want the
every-
static adventurer tag for labeling purposes.
Yeah, I think that is something we need. I think we talked about static adventurer tag
Yeah.
before, just calling it company.
Yeah, if we have just the basic tag that every static group has, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because that'll help with some scheduling.
Yeah, but individual group tags, that should be limited to factions only. Just because we have a limited number, even though we could handle every player population right now with an individual stack tab. Going forward, as we expand and we get more player slots, that will not be as viable.
So for the stream players, maybe calling them just the tag RP tag, just to allow them to bypass the adventurer tag. Because again, people do have some PTSD from just
Yeah.
stream player.
I think
To answer you, Legacy, the stream player tag is allowing players from NERP's Bruja campaign to RP without having the adventurer tag. Because otherwise, they would be getting hit with adventurer tag pings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just so they have the ability to RP.
Yeah.
They don't even need the tag. I looked at our tag system, and the only tag that they really need is Bruja to RP in.
Okay. That could also just be an easier solution.
Yeah, I think we can just give us the rollback. Yeah. The adventure tag is something I do not want to give them, because then they'll be pinged as adventurers, and they'll be in the pool of players that GMs might see as people who can join missions.
Yeah.
Which
And speaking of
they're
them,
not.
people are already interacting with them and potentially doing research for them.
Yeah.
Just as a heads up for you.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I actually figured the civilians probably be doing stuff for them, so. Which just makes it easier on me, in that I don't have to find a random NPC to do it for them. So, they have someone already on the job, and they're spending their resources to have them do the job. Cool. I think we can just blap this stream player tag, because looking at our role system, we actually don't need it. It's completely unnecessary. It just denotes them as a stream player. But yeah, we don't really need it.
In Shadow, we do have an entire document with all these rules in it. A DM can run for a minimum of 4 people. We recommend 6.
Again, but my question is, can they have a static party of 2 and fill the random 4 slots?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you just hate statics in general, but this was a conversation we
I
had
don't.
Over a year ago.
I just wanted the question answered, because everyone's just been throwing out 666, and I'm like, what about people that can't find 6 people? What if they only find 2 or 3 but want a DM? If they're willing to fill the extra slots, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, no, there's no issue. If you have a stack of 2 and you need an extra 2 players to hit the minimum, then yeah, you can fill those with randos.
And people will build up to having the static of 6 over time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't even need to hit the 6 cap. They just need to be at least 4.
We haven't said there's a problem with that.
They'll fill out a party.
It's just a matter of understanding the question and then clarifying it.
Yeah. Also, I completely missed what you posted in chat until it was brought up in voice. So things have been posting quickly.
And also, a lot of my concerns are going to go away once the Seekers Guild stuff gets set up anyways. I had concerns, but I never disliked the static system. I just wanted these outline questions answered.
No, you really did. You're being. It was a conversation we had over a year ago, which I don't like having to relitigate again.
Well, it was also over a year ago.
I mean, I think ultimately, it was over a year ago, it's fine. Whatever was in the past is in the past.
Yeah.
Opinions probably have
It's just-
changed since then. It's fine.
Our conversation around balanced discussion about the character death and returning levels, it became a lot about people's issues with static groups in general.
Yeah, that is true.
And not wanting static groups, which
Yeah,
we had a long time ago.
yeah. I mean, I think that was more of a blindside on Sky's part, in that they probably completely forgot, knowing them, that this was the plan. And it's always been the plan. Because they were the biggest vocal opposition to it. Yeah, I mean, we can continue discussion it, no problem, but also I haven't even touched the chat for that yet, and I need to do that, so I hadn't read it since last week, and I need to read it. So I don't really want to touch on that subject too much right now for this week until I read through it.
Alright, let
speaking
me
of
check
more-
box and then that's about it.
More text discussion. I'm going to start up a faction one, so we can start discussing on what power level we want for factions,
Yes.
so we can get at least a base, and then we can start working on what the factions will give and cost and all that.
Mhm.
So we're just all on the same page.
Not power level but design philosophy around it and how they scale instead of just front loading.
Now, statics can be, just for full context, can be any number above 1. Simply because if you're just 1, you're literally just a rando. You're not a static at that point. If you're above 1, then you're good to just know, like, we're a package deal. If you get one of us, you get both of us. Or, you get one of us, you get whatever the number amounts to, as long as, like, everyone's schedule fits. If, like, 3 out of the 5 stacks don't fit or fit a mission, then, I mean, you only get 3 of the 5.
We already discussed that power levels will very much be varied, but the way benefits are gained will be completely reworked to not be front loaded.
Yes, that is on my docket for the mission rewards. I'm just letting Legacy get through their docket first before I go through the rest of mine. Yeah, I have so many ats right now, by the way. I have 21 are probably living world related right now.
Would you like another one? Because I can add you again.
I mean, I already have 2 from you.
Would you like a third?
Sure, sure, you can give me a third.
All
There
right,
you go.
well,
Oh.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, one suggestion box thing asking about adding downtime into the World Anvil which got approved in the VOD. I can answer that one, but basically after the VOD we remembered that since it's a publicly visible World Anvil we wanted to just keep it in the Discord.
Yes. We do not want to add the link to the World Anvil because then anyone, even those who are not related to Living World, would be able to access it. Yeah. All right. What's next on the docket? Legacy?
That's it. I'm writing a summary on static groups right now. Anyone who wants to bring anything up for discussion or any of the balanced topics, go for it. Otherwise, we're good to go for today.
All right, now let's go through the rest of my bit, and then we can do group open discussion in a second, because mine's not too detailed, I don't think.
Then go to the suggestion box.
Yeah. Just reading what Frozen posted real quick. I mean, free companies, I wouldn't really say they get more mechanical benefits. It's just, they're just a static group that have really decided on, hey, we want to be called this. We have an official name. Basically, they're doing the groundwork for becoming a faction. Yeah. All right, regarding rewards and the like, I've been hearing through various posts and whatnot that values are drastically different in terms of rewards, which, yeah, it's gonna happen. It's fine. But some of them are drastically to the point where they're not even within our own guidelines. They're like under what we're suggesting as a minimum. So wanted to bring that up. As a reminder, the mission structure document does go through all the role for rewards and whatnot you should generally be expecting. That can be found in the missions subfolder of the adventure Living World Google Drive. And those are per milestone per player for the wealth rewards, and per milestone per player for the loot rewards. And loot rewards can be anything. It could be, dropping a excellent quality rapier as a wealth reward, for example. It could be straight up materials. So, 50 pounds of iron. Could even be, 5 pounds of fever iron, something that's tier 3 or tier 4. Probably not tier 5, because we're, level 1 players right now, or tier 1 players right now. But, within reason, you have a funding. It's a pool. You can go a little bit over, you can go a little bit under. That's fine. If you go, super over, just post it in the post-game report and as to the reason why and let us know. And we can probably go over some discussions there, but try not to. But I was hearing, as an example, groups of players getting maybe 50 gold in total wealth reward for a 2-session mission. And that is definitely a little funky.
What would the expected reward be for that?
It really just depends on the mission itself. But 50 gold total, it's supposed to be 50 gold per player per milestone. So that's kind of where it's a bit of an issue. I wouldn't say expected gold per experience. I'd say per milestone. Just because experience will vary.
Yeah. But, how many milestones do you expect per session? I think that's where a lot of people are getting somewhat tripped up.
Yeah, that's another one where it kind of depends. A lot of the...
Okay, yet I think that might be just a misunderstanding. I think we just need to make it more clear that players can submit requests for stuff like that.
Submits... Huh?
Huh?
What? What do you mean by submit requests? Yeah, I mean, it's probably just a misunderstanding. That's why I'm bringing this up, is because judging from what I've heard through players and there's, of what rewards they've been given, it seems some of the DM team is either unaware of the mission structure document, forgot about it, or, what other reason why they're lowballing too much.
I think one of the reasons is also what Gogi posted, that combat equals encounter. And people are missing stuff like diplomatic, encounters or exploration
Yeah,
encounters.
that's another thing. Encounter is not just combat. It can be literally anything. You can have an encounter where they're having a fishing event. They're literally just rolling a dice to see if they fish. Or you can actually make an encounter where it's like a skill challenge or whatnot. But it could be talking to a guard trying to get into a castle. That could be an encounter. It could be, painting and a furious paint off against another painter. It could be sneaking through a dungeon past a group of guards. It could be, disabling a trap. It could be just figuring out a puzzle. It could be anything really that you think of. Anything that could have some challenge to it. Even if it's just like if you fail, you don't get extra gold. It could be an encounter.
Because right now we do have some.
Explained what I meant about submissions. Basically, I'm
DM
saying the solution here is yes, it's good that we talk about it here, but the main way to solve this will be to tell players they can tell us about specific incidents through the suggestion box so that we can remind the people directly.
Yeah.
Because definitely not all GMS are here.
Yes.
and like having an encounter per session recommendation, I think would be good. Because like there's a lot of DMs out there giving like 2 or 3 experience per session.
That is another part of this, yeah. I think a good guideline for encounters per session would probably be like 3, about 2 to 4, but good average of 3 encounters per session. And if the entire session is just them RPing with NPCs, they're still getting information. You can, give them some encounter experience for that. Because experience is literally a representation of life experience. Even if they're just talking to people. You want to give them an encounter experience, you can. There's an encounter cap. So depending on the mission type that you're running, you might not be able to give them too many encounter milestones. Which is what they're called, the encounter experience. But you can still give them it. It can be anything. Yeah, making sure people know it's not just combat is very important and will definitely help.
There should be a disclaimer to this that a lot of people need to realize is even if you set certain guidelines, people can't complain when they get less stuff compared to another
Yes.
GM because a DM is going to run things differently. Because some games may be just all combat.
Mhm.
Some games may just be exploration. The players can't complain validly about certain things when a DM runs something differently.
Yeah. One of my...
That has to be the disclaimer here.
Yes, it definitely needs to be a disclaimer of the games will be different, missions will be different, especially if they're on different mission tiers, so like minor, lesser, major. All these different factors will adjust how much experience and gold you will potentially be able to gain. And that value could vary from what is actually written on the document, depending on how the game actually progresses.
Yeah, but the flip side is like there was one game that gave out like 2 experience.
Yeah.
And 50 gold. That's just feels bad.
It is. Yeah,
Right.
that's why this needs to be brought up. Yeah, but as Legacy was saying, if as a player something like this happens, post in the suggestion box so we can check it out, see about it, so we can inform that particular DM in case they did not watch this VOD or whatnot about the mission structure document, so they know the guidelines and whatnot. But yeah, no, if generally speaking, for encounter experience, try to err on giving it out. Just so you know you can hit your cap or whatnot. You don't need to hit your cap. But if you were like running a minor mission, most of the experience will probably be gained from encounters, not from the milestones. Because as a minor mission, you're only capped at 2 milestones maximum. You can have 1 or 2. But trying to find the thing I was gonna grab. For experience, if it's an encounter milestone, use the encounter block. So 0 for easy, 1 for medium, 2 for hard, 3 for difficult. If it's anything that's not an encounter, use the row of the mission's design level. So if it's a 1 to 2 mission, use row 1 to 2. If it's a 5 to 6 mission, use row 5 to 6. And that is the experience value that you will give your players. And that is for the beginning of the mission. So if your mission starts at level 1 to 2 and progresses to 3, 4, it's still a 1-2 mission for purposes of experience gain. And you will give those values based upon a predetermined value. So if you're making a milestone where they have to, as an example of my players were saying that my Lockheed Dune mission grouping of 6 sessions is a really good example of different types of milestones and encounters that you can find within the game. So if you're wanting an example, they were suggesting that you watch the video. But within that one, I have a milestone where they have to. Trying to think of one that you guys have not that you have done, so I can describe it in more detail. I have a milestone where they have to stop essentially a curse, a plague of like. I believe I have that one set as a hard difficulty because 1, it was a boss fight, and 2, it was a boss fight with a larger number than average of mobs that be summoned. There was also some other things that added to it, the difficulty, but those never triggered. So I had it, I'm pretty sure it as a hard. The fight was actually pretty hard, so I kept it as hard. If it almost killed the party, I probably would have increased it to deadly. If they just trounced my boss, like they came in, big dick swinging, and just like, yeah, you're fucking dead, whatever. Easy clap. I would not have reduced the experience gained. I would have kept it at hard because that was the designed experience gain. Now, if you don't pre-design your experience options and whatnot, you're just like, yeah, this is what it feels like I should give them. That's fine. But try to, when you do start an encounter or do start a milestone, give a predetermined value of like, I think this will be a hard fight, so I'm going to give them the hard experience value. If they end up doing better than what you think at the time, don't reduce their experience. They rolled really well, they did really good, they earned the experience. So like, I have an encounter wherein my players had 2 options. They either climbed a cliff, or climbed the cliff with a bunch of enemies. But they only got the climbing cliff experience because the other one was requiring them to do it a certain way, which they didn't do that. So that one was more of an either or, which whatever one triggered would have triggered it. They probably would have trounced the encounter even if they were climbing the cliff with the enemies attacking them while climbing. Which I would have reduced the experience gain for that, but it would have been a deadly encounter. And they would have gained 3 instead of 1. So that is an option where you could give a default value of low versus default value of high, depending on what happens. Because the situation changes and the encounter difficulty changes as a baseline. But, yeah.
I'm sorry I flew up the cliff, Nerp. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I totally didn't think I was going to have a bunch of flyers in my game, to be fair.
You are not sorry. Shut up.
Yeah.
No, I am sorry for circumventing the encounter. However, I am going to be rich because there's going to be a lot of IOUs.
That's true. Yeah, but, I mean, you cost the players 2 experience, but don't look at it that way. You get, avoid an encounter. And
I don't want to do a battle in the air. That sucks.
Exactly. You avoided something that would have been very painful. It would have been like a 40-foot drop if they attacked you. Because they had an ability where if they hit you while climbing, you had to make a check to maintain your hold. So, take 46 damage if you fail this check. It would have been deadly.
But that still is a good example of DMs, mildly not the most here because most of them are experienced, but people just listening. Things can turn on a dime. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. It's why the greatest skills you can have when you're running a game is improv and saying yes, but, or no, maybe, and not just straight up yes and no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and regarding your post there, Elob, I also typically do long rests during missions. I especially have some form of way for my players to achieve a long rest just before boss fights. So if they're about to have a boss fight, I'll probably put some form of like a shrine or the like that will give them a long rest if they take a short rest. Or if they like drink from a well, I'll give them a long rest from just drinking it as like, you know, an action to drink it. And that's because my boss fights are deadly, and I know how deadly they can be, and I don't want them to not be long rest on them.
I gave them at least 4. I ward them at least 4 times. They're like, "Oh, you sure you don't want a long rest?
Look,
Okay.
it's dead.
You sure you don't want a long rest?"
Look, if they don't long rest, they made their bed.
Okay, before we get too far off topic, 3 things for the patch notes.
Yes.
I need to go soon. Is there anything else, or we good to wrap up?
I'm not remembering anything else. That's the big thing I wanted to bring up was the mission structure. So, anything that I'm forgetting, or is there anything that anyone wants to bring up?
We do have the suggestion box forums.
Do we have the forums to go through?
Yeah. So you've talked about punching in a couple of these. A couple of them I'm about.
Are you talking about the actual forums, or are you talking about the...
Yeah,
okay,
the
forums, okay. Because we do have forms, which are like sent up to us. So they're different, yeah.
I mumble.
No, I heard forum from you,
Okay.
I wasn't sure exactly, because they're very similar in name, so yeah. Anyways. Seekers Guild chat room.
Are there any that are marked as active?
I've
All
marked
we
a lot
gotta
of
do
them.
is mark them as pending or denied. Don't need to go in depth.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know if I've marked these ones as active yet, but I've currently reading a Seekers Guild chat room, Speak with Animals, newspaper, declaring games, sign up, package and post equipment, batches of mercantilism, adventurer, civ, grand exchange, companies, parties, clans, LFP static group board, time zone sheet, braced, a list of taboos, typos of wording, grammar. Those are the ones I currently have loaded, though there's apparently 2 more that I need to load up and see what those say. All those I'm currently reading, going through. You can consider them, I wouldn't say active, because active means that we're actually agreeing that this will be occurred, but you can, if they're not marked as active already, you can mark them as pending. But Seekers Guild chat room, I'm literally going to be making that visible at the end of the mission, so you can mark that one as accepted. Because every faction will have its own chat room. Will require the faction tag, but every faction will have its own chat room. Right. Anything anyone else would like to bring up? Things to note? Things to discuss? Yeah. I mean, the Seekers Guild, that's part of the Grand Exchange thing that we've been working on, the Seekers Hall, which is the thing I was meant to bring up. I just remembered about that. The Seekers Hall, a way for players to essentially look for players, do whatnot. Sort of what we've been doing with the notice board, but more of a RP channel for them to do this. I was wanting people's thoughts. I posted it earlier in the week. I didn't get a lot of thoughts. So if we can have a forum added to balance discussion, and if people can look into that and we can discuss it, that'd be great. I would say we can do it now, but there's limited time, apparently.
I'll make the post in the forum.
Sorry, say again?
Seekers Hall. Essentially the guild channel I added, which is a forum style grouping of channels for the guild, the Seekers Guild. And it is essentially a way for players to discuss static groups, to look for like civilians who might be able to help them out with certain things. Basically a way for everyone to gather together and discuss things. But I want it to be limited in some ways, so I want to get people's opinions on my initial rulings, if there's any rulings that they should be added to it. So like maybe a fee, like a 5 gold fees, to actually teleport to it and teleport back. Some reason
Oh, perfect.
for it.
Once that releases, I'll slap together an explanation like what I just posted in No Mic about how statics work both IC and OOC.
Yeah, but yeah, I just want people's opinions on it so I can adjust it and then we can release it, because that's something that is hampering our economy.
You probably would want a fee on it and probably put it higher than the one that you have for posting message boards in regions, because this would be something that people would be using to hit like every region in the in the world or whatnot. Then so
message boards are slower
expensive.
but cheaper.
Yeah, people haven't been using the message boards because most of them don't know they exist.
Yeah.
That they can spend their influence in gold.
Yeah. Also, they're claiming it's a little too expensive influence-wise, which goes into the fact that our civilians aren't able to generate as much influence as others.
Yeah.
So this is something that needs to be looked at and adjusted a little bit. But, yeah. Just, once you have that posted, we can discuss it, go over it. I can get it finished out, and we can release it hopefully this week. But now that I remembered that was a thing, anything anyone would like to bring up? All right. Sounds like we're good then. So, I imagine Legacy is about to say something. But that's all I have. That's all we need to do. That's all the good stuff. That is the meeting. So, appreciate everyone's face. All the help you've been providing. All that good stuff. I'm gonna... I feel like they're about to say something. So
Alright, we're good to go then. Notification patch probably tomorrow, and then oh shoot, I just remembered I'll include progression warning in 2 weeks in it too.
Excellent. There we go. Alright, good stuff. And that'll be the meeting. Good stuff indeed.